Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to House Finance. Whoever would like to start off first. Thank you. If your button is up, it's on.
So it's on?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Through you to the members of the committee. For the record, my name is Steve Ryan. I'm the Executive Director of the New England Convenience Store Association. Our membership here in Rhode Island consists of independent, family-owned convenience stores, mom-and-pop stores, franchise-owned stores, as well as corporate stores. I'm joined by several members of the industry who will introduce themselves in a moment, and there's also a lot of folks from our industry that are here in the room with me tonight. So we appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak with you. We are opposed to Article 12, Section 6 of the governor's proposed budget, which seeks to place an 80% tax on electronic cigarettes. Our industry is one of long hours and very thin margins. The National Association of Convenience Stores estimates that the average convenience store makes just $47,000 a year in pre-tax profits. They actually pay more in credit card interchange fees than they earn in profits as a store. So when an issue comes up like this that's going to significantly impact their bottom line, that's why you'll see as many folks as you do this evening, and that's what they're concerned about it. Our members are committed to responsible retailing of all the products that they sell, including products that are or should be age restricted. As we have in the past here in Rhode Island, we support laws that would prohibit the sale of e-cigarettes to minors and require photo identification at the point of sale. While we believe that the sale of nicotine delivery systems or electronic cigarettes should be limited to adults, we respectfully but firmly believe that Rhode Island should refrain at this point from taxing these new nicotine and non-nicotine containing products altogether until there's a better understanding of the potential of these products to play a significant role in the spectrum of options for adult smokers seeking an alternative to conventional tobacco cigarettes. We know that the FDA is working on a national policy on these products, and that many other experts and institutions are doing research and studies. Burdensome taxes on innovative products such as these, before the research on them is fully understood, could be very problematic for our state and the many adult smokers who are seeking such an alternative. Imposing a punitive tax on these products, like the 80% tax proposed in this budget, we believe sends precisely the wrong message, and it represents bad policy for several reasons. Geographically, we are a very small state. If a responsible Rhode Island retailer is unable to carry these products at a price that's competitive with stores in bordering states or on the internet, some Rhode Island residents will simply not buy them, and they'll keep buying and consuming tobacco cigarettes. But others will leave our stores in our state to make these purchases. And when they do, the money goes with them. The opportunity for our members to stay in business is diminished. There's currently only one state in the nation that taxes these products, and it's over 1,500 miles away in Minnesota. I think the gentleman will talk about that in a minute. It's up here with me. We sincerely believe that making Rhode Island an island of taxation on these products, which many believe hold so much promise for adult smokers seeking an alternative to their current habit, is a step in the wrong direction, and we respectfully ask you to not support this proposed tax. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Just for a clarification, I know that Representative Valencia wanted to mention it earlier when he asked if there were any other states, and I think that the response was that we would be the first, but we were corrected earlier, and we do know that there is one other state out there, Minnesota. So you speak correctly that there is another state out there that does tax these things. But I could tell you, sir, I think from the feeling around the room, I think we all share your thoughts and your ideas. So
Thank you, Mr.
We'll move on. Whoever else would like to speak. Ma'am, you may continue.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ann Flint, and I'm here from Cumberland Farms, along with many of my colleagues from our Rhode Island stores. I'm Senior Category Manager of Tobacco, and I want to thank everyone for this opportunity. From our perspective as a retailer of electronic nicotine delivery devices, or so-called e-cigarettes, we would like to provide these brief comments summarizing the regulatory options we do and do not support, specifically to tax policy. We respectfully urge an onerous 80% tax on e-cigarettes is not the right approach at this time. Cumberland Farms is one of the largest private companies in the country, operating hundreds of convenience stores along the East Coast, including dozens of locations in Rhode Island, where we employ several hundred people and maintain a $20 million payroll. We have invested millions in store renovations and new construction in Rhode Island over the last 5 years. Although we have grown since our humble beginnings in Rhode Island, we are still a family-owned, family-operated, and dedicated to making every day easier for the communities that we serve. One reason for the continued success is our adherence to the simple philosophy: in an on-the-go world, we provide products that our customers demand. Nicotine is addictive, and Cumberland Farms believes that nicotine products should be appropriately age-restricted. Therefore, we enthusiastically support laws that would prohibit the sale of e-cigarettes to minors and to require photo identification at the point of sale. In practice, we already adhere to this policy in our own operations. We do not sell these products to minors, and as a participant in the We Card program, we require photo identification to sales to anyone that is under 30 years old. Cumberland Farms also supports laws that would restrict internet sales, because brick-and-mortar retail stores are the most appropriate venue to ensure a controlled, age-restricted sales environment. However, while we believe sales of both products should be limited to adult consumers, we do not agree that the public policy should automatically equate e-cigarettes with tobacco cigarettes. Unfortunately, because they share the term cigarettes, it may be easy to jump to conclusions and make negative associations between the two products. But these products are not the same and should not be taxed as though they are. Imposing a punitive tax on e-cigarettes, like the 80% tax proposed in this budget, sends precisely the wrong message, and it represents bad public policy for several reasons. If Rhode Island were to adopt this tax, it would join Minnesota, as Steve has already stated, as the only two states in the country to assess e-cigarettes at a rate above and beyond the normal sales tax. And as we have seen from experience, taxes between neighboring states matters. As a retailer and taxpayer in the geographically small state of Rhode Island, we are very concerned about any new policy that would exacerbate the black market smuggling problem already present with tobacco sales, or drive our customers over the border to an adjoining state with significantly lower taxes. In light of these factors, Cumberland Farms is confident that rejecting the governor's burdensome, counterproductive, and unjustified tax proposal is the right course of action for the legislature, which instead should seek a more appropriate source of revenue. We very much appreciate your consideration for this position, and we look forward to continued participation in this debate.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Sir, you may proceed.
Thank you. My name is Stephen Byron. I own a small convenience store in Burrillville. Last year, I invested $1 million in my business. All new underground storage tanks, dispensers, remodeling the store. I'm also in the process of adding an addition. Today marks the fourth time in the last 6 years that I've been before this committee to plead for myself and others in the convenience store industry. Our business deals in pennies and dimes, with many items pre-priced by the manufacturers, such as bread, potato chips, candy, and drinks. We are not able to increase prices on over 65% of the items we sell. As you are all well aware, that the cost of doing business in Rhode Island increases every year. Just for the month of December and January, my electricity costs went up $1,500 for the 2 months. Every year, the same issues are before you in the same form of an increase in either new forms of tax or added tax on tobacco and related products. Last year was a proposed 95-cent increase in cigarette tax. It was stated that that the money was to be used for prevention and to help individuals who wanted to quit smoking. I assured you at that time that if you kept the tax where it was, that you would see a huge increase in revenue not only from cigarette sales, but in fuel sales, lottery sales, and general sales tax, because of the fact that Massachusetts increased their sales tax on cigarettes and excise tax on gasoline. My understanding is that amounted to $22 million in cigarette tax revenue, new revenue to this state this year. I have not heard of what increases the state incurred on gasoline, general sales, and lottery. I know my store had a 15 to 20% increase in fuel sales and 40% increase on other tobacco products, namely chewing tobacco and small cigars. Why did this occur? Simply, the legislature last year didn't increase the taxes that would affect my industry. My store was competitive and cheaper than Mass and Connecticut stores. Shoppers want one-stop shopping. I was able to give that to them. Thanks to this committee for not recommending a tax increase last year. It has been the agenda of some representatives to help individuals become less dependent on smoking in order to improve health. Well, smokers have an alternative, and it is working for them. Now you want to add an 80% tax on them. They'll be better off buying cigarettes because it'll be cheaper than buying cigarettes. In my industry, we only make 6% on a pack of cigarettes. So I'd gladly sell e-cigarettes where I'm going to make 20 and 30%. When I said we only make 6% on a pack of cigarettes. This may not be the time or venue, but I would like to be the first to apply for a license to sell recreational marijuana when it is passed by this legislature. This will be the only way that my business will be able to survive if taxes are increased on other products. Thank you for your time, and if any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you very much. No problem. Sir, you may proceed. It doesn't move, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for the record, my name is Paul Caron, and I am the Executive Director of the Northeast Association of Wholesale Distributors. My members are the distribution network that deliver the tens of thousands of snacks and candy and food items to the mom and pop convenience stores, the gas stations, the grocery stores, the supermarkets. We're the ones that deliver the stock that stocks the shelves of thousands of retailers. In my previous life, I would be on your side of the side of the table. I was a former legislator in Massachusetts for 20 years in the Massachusetts House. There was a saying back then that the governor proposes and the legislature disposes. And I'm hoping that this House views the governor's proposal as what it is, a threat to small business. I'd like to be recorded that the Northeast Association of Wholesale Distributors would like to be recorded in adamant opposition for the proposal before you to tax e-cigarettes at 80% of their wholesale cost. Over the last several years, my industry has observed the growing popularity and the demand for e-cigarettes by the consuming public who would like to quit and are looking for an alternative to the traditional tobacco cigarette. As evidenced by the growing popularity of e-cigarettes, sales revenues have doubled every year since 2008. And one thing is evident is that more and more consumers are turning to e-cigarettes as an alternative to the traditional combustible leaf tobacco. And even though critics stress that the need for more research, I think we can say with a high level of confidence that e-cigarettes are safer than smoking traditional manufactured cigarette product. Because with e-cigarettes, no tobacco leaves are combusted, so they don't release the tar and the gases that lead to cancer and other smoking-related disease. We believe that the FDA should play a role in establishing the manner in which the e-cigarette market operates. We believe that individual states like Rhode Island should prohibit the sale and marketing of e-cigarettes to minors, but it should not be heavy-handed in restricting the marketing and sales of the product to adults. It's important to remember that the emergence of the electronic cigarette industry rose and started on the internet and with independent non-tobacco companies that were seeking to provide consumers with a safer alternative to the traditional manufactured product. It's true that the electronic cigarette, as it grew in popularity, captured the attention of the established traditional tobacco companies who have since gotten involved in the production of their own product as they tried to minimize the loss of market share. But the fact remains that increasing evidence to date shows that the opportunity now exists to establish a safer class of a nicotine delivery system that could get existing smokers to switch from the more traditional and more hazardous traditional product. Increasingly, government uses tax policy to restrict what they see as harmful behavior, especially when you're dealing with tobacco. But using tax policy as proposed here, even before the FDA has made public their deliberations on how to best regulate this industry, in my opinion, would be counterproductive to the stated public health objectives of the government. Tax policy can have some unintended consequences. It can drive product from the shelves of legal retailers to the underground black market, to the internet, or in this particular case, it could stifle the further development of what we feel may be the first major technological breakthrough in developing a less harmful alternative to the traditional tobacco cigarettes for smokers. So, Mr. Chairman, in light of the fact that no other New England state currently taxes electronic products at this time, and in order to protect the hundreds of jobs of many men and women who work in the supply distribution chain and the retail stores, I would like to ask that Rhode Island legislature defer action on this item at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Representative. Any questions? Representative Morgan.
Good evening. How much is the total sales? Do you know how much the total sales for e-cigarettes is in Rhode Island right now?
I'm not sure what it is in Rhode Island. Nationally, it has grown to over 2 billion now.
But you don't know for Rhode Island?
I'm not familiar with Rhode Island, no.
All right, and so one other question then. As you said that the use of e-cigarettes has grown. So with that growth, has the sale of regular cigarettes decreased? Do you know what the figures are?
Nationally, cigarettes are down 4 to 5% a year. In you have a lot of dual users of people that are trying to quit smoking and people that are using an e-cig in situations where they can't use can't have a regular cigarette. So right now we're experiencing that they're still staying in the combustibles to a certain extent, but they're entering into e-cigs. So it's still an evolution.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the committee members? Representative Valencia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it Cole Chalinsky?
I'm sorry?
Oh,
Paul.
I'm sorry, Paul Karen.
Paul Karen.
I'm sorry, Paul. Which group do you represent?
I represent the wholesalers. They're the distribution network.
Okay, because you had made some statements about the safety of e-cigarettes versus regular conventional tobacco cigarettes. Do you have any supporting documentation for those health claims?
There are studies that have been put together. The one thing that I don't think very many people can refute is the fact that nicotine is an addictive element. It's in electronic cigarettes, it's in traditional cigarettes. And while smokers smoke to get the nicotine, it's the smoke that kills them. And the one thing about electronic cigarettes, it's not combusted tobacco.
No, and I understand the difference between, combusted cigarettes and e-cigarettes. It's a little more complicated that, nicotine, it's a vasoconstrictor, so it causes and can cause issues with your circulatory system. It's not just the lungs that are affected. It's really, it's your whole body. It's your heart and all your arteries and those types of things. And you are a representative of that group, but you're not a health professional yourself.
I'm not a health professional, no.
Thank you very much. And I was just going to say, House Fiscal was very nice, and they pointed out to me offline there about Minnesota being the only state that is regulating e-cigarettes at this time. And I checked their website, and it's 95% of the wholesale cost, just for anyone who's listening who wanted to know what Minnesota is actually taxing at. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further questions? My appreciation to the panel. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to call Cole Chalinsky, Tom Bryant, and Gaydar Abkayarian. Please introduce yourself, and we'll start right to left.
Hello, my name is Cole Chalinsky. Thank you for allowing us to speak here today. I'm strongly opposed to Article 12, Section 6. I understand that the state is experiencing financial hardships and is searching for a way to bring in more revenue. Shutting down an entire industry within the state is not a way to accomplish this goal. An 80% tax would undoubtedly shut down the sale of electronic cigarettes from within the state. Local vape shops already have a difficult time competing with internet-based shops whose overhead is much lower and can charge much less. If this tax is imposed, I simply can't imagine anyone would buy something from a local Rhode Island store when they could purchase that item for half the cost over the internet or from our neighboring states. Electronic cigarettes are much less harmful alternative to real cigarettes. Please don't believe the biased, over-sensationalized, unresearched, or outdated articles that you may have read on the topic. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of research papers published by respected institutions that clearly refute the claims made by fear-mongering journalists. The electronic cigarette industry is a blossoming market guaranteed to make this state money if it's nurtured and given the opportunity to grow. Electronic cigarettes are a much safer alternative to traditional tobacco, and imposing this tax will literally kill hundreds of tobacco smokers by restricting the availability of e-cigs in this state. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sir, you may proceed.
Hello. Dear Chairman Mello and members of the committee, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Gaydar Abkarian. I'm a 7-Eleven franchisee in Cranston, Rhode Island. I've been in business for 2 years, and I employ approximately 12 people. I wanted to share my concerns concerning this particular bill. My understanding currently is that it has, in the state of Rhode Island, it generates approximately $800,000 in sales. I've been hearing a lot of words being thrown around earlier today, such as economic development, the impact that some of these bills could have. Well, in this particular case, since we're since we haven't even hit the $1 million gross sales figure, and we are one of the slowly up-and-coming states when it comes to e-cigarette sales, an 80% tax rate on this would only generate $640,000. At a $640,000 per year generation, it's minuscule compared to the amount of money that, streamlining the state and some of the monies and benefits that the state could benefit from streamlining the bills here could generate. As I believe I heard, it was $40 to $80 million just by doing that, just by one stroke of the pen there. So my concern is this, that with, as this gentleman to the left has just explained, that by adding an 80% tax on this, my concerns are that now all of a sudden you've got a business that is most likely not going to grow. It's at $800,000 now. You put an 80% tax on this, and it's going to go down. Now, figure how much could you possibly, increase, or how much of a decrease could possibly happen. At a 50% rate of decrease, which could easily happen, you're looking at 80% of the 50%. You're only now generating $400,000 in revenue from this particular tax. Let's talk numbers, and this is what this is all about. At a $400,000 increase in revenue over a business that could conceivably lose half of the business, my concerns are that, well, now here's the real important word. What is the impact of this particular tax? The impact is this, that for those people that are currently buying these e-cigarettes from my location, and personally, they are the more well-to-do. They get it. They understand, or at least they're attempting to look at this as an alternative to a health risk issue that they currently have personally, which is the smoking of cigarettes. I'm not one to tell them that it will help them, but they recognize that this is a potential to help them in the long run. But they are walking into my store, purchasing an e-cigarette for $8 to $10. With an 80% tax rate, that will go up to $16 to $18. Now, I can assure you that the only person that will be able to continue to buy this are those that are buying or those that are driving a luxury sports sedan. They won't. The people that are driving, or the people that are buying these e-cigarettes right now from me are those people. And one of the things that was just brought to my attention was that, you know, the average income in the state of Rhode Island is under $22,000. Now let's look at it realistically, and my concern is this: will it affect my particular business? It will. Will it adversely affect it? It could. What is the upside of it? The upside of it is, well, a couple of things. One, we don't tax this particular industry. It gives the industry the potential to flourish and eventually become one of possibly a leading manufacturer. And I say manufacturer because I'd spoken to a particular wholesaler that's here today, and he's looking into becoming a manufacturer of this particular product. So now we've got such an upward trajectory of this particular industry for everyone involved. And that is from the average person who right now hasn't made that decision that e-cigarettes could possibly be better than combustible cigarettes. And that average person, that's the one that's earning under $22,000. And that's probably the one that's getting state-funded or federal-funded income. Now, imagine this. Here you are. You're only earning this much money. You're considering, all right, and your doctor is telling you need to consider alternatives to cigarette smoking. This is a possible alternative, which works for some people and may not work for others. But it's now an affordable alternative. It's now an affordable alternative that will not be in their grasp eventually. So I'd like to just simply, I'm impassioned by this mostly because my wife smokes, and I'm encouraging her to, you pick up the e-cigarettes. And can I afford an $18 e-cigarette? Yes, I can. But the average customer of mine, which I understand why I'm a flourishing business in the state of Rhode Island, who only makes $21,688 a year, will simply not have that option. And you've already heard about those people that are going to look for this option elsewhere. So, in the whole scheme of things, my belief is that not offering the 80% tax on this particular bill is in charge a form of economic development, because you're offering these businesses to flourish and the average resident here in Rhode Island to be able to afford this and improve, hopefully, their overall health that is yet to be proved. And I really appreciate your time, and I would like to, on a personal note, just say this, that if I could, I personally believe that the governor has it wrong this time. It's something that I think we all really seriously need to think about before we make this decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir, you may proceed.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Tom Bryant, and I am the executive director of two trade associations. One is the Minnesota Wholesale Marketers Association, that's Minnesota Wholesale Distributors, and the other is the National Association of Tobacco Outlets, a national trade association of tobacco stores and convenience stores with member stores located right here in Rhode Island. I am from Minnesota, and 3.5 years ago, Minnesota enacted a 70% tax on e-cigarettes, and that was just raised by the legislature last July 1st to a 95% tax rate. So Minnesota has, in effect, always had a tax on these kind of new products. It's important to understand that Minnesota's 95% tax on e-cigarettes effectively doubles the price of that product. For example, on average, a single disposable e-cigarette that is equivalent to about 2 packs of cigarettes now sells in Minnesota for $18 after applying the 95% tax and the sales tax. If there were no tax on e-cigarettes, that same e-cigarette would be about $8 to $9 in Minnesota. And Rhode Island would experience a similar price increase on its e-cigarettes if the 80% tax were to be applied. So it'd be about $17 here per e-cigarette in Rhode Island. Now, the wholesalers and retailers I represent back in Minnesota do not sell a large quantity of e-cigarettes. They never have, because we've always had the high tax. And this low volume of sales means a low level of revenue for the state of Minnesota as well. Now, why is that the case? Because consumers are very resourceful. They have options to seek out other sources of e-cigarettes rather than brick and mortar stores in Minnesota. Online is one of those. They go to a store, they do what is called do showrooming. They buy an e-cigarette. If they like it, then they go online to buy it without paying any excise taxes or any sales taxes. Now, besides raising revenue, a tobacco tax policy can also discourage the use of a tobacco product if there's health implications. However, as you've heard, and we'll hear from other testifiers, e-cigarettes offer consumers a high level of harm reduction and a positive alternative to traditional tobacco products. Even the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has now drafted regulations on e-cigarettes. They are currently under review by the White House Office of Management and Budget. When the OMB finalizes its review, those regulations will be published for public comment and then enacted into law by the FDA. Now, the FDA also recognizes that e-cigarettes are a different kind of product than your traditional combustible tobacco products that burn. So they've established 14 tobacco research centers around the country to study e-cigarettes to make sure they regulate them in the appropriate way. Now, the same principles the FDA is following hold true for what you're considering today. The important thing is this: it's not to enact a tax that becomes a disincentive for adults to transition to using e-cigarettes, or an incentive for adults to seek other sources like online sources and avoid paying all taxes altogether. If that happens, Rhode Island retailers and the state of Rhode Island both lose. In conclusion, to avoid what's happened in Minnesota, I urge you not to support the 80% tax on e-cigarettes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate your testimony. If I can have Ariel Savarinsky, I'm sorry, Savasky, sorry, Ariel. Dino Bakari, Robert Dunning. Good evening and welcome to House Finance. Ariel, you may proceed.
Before. Okay. Hi, I'm Ariel Savransky. I am representing the American Council on Science and Health. We are a consumer advocacy and public health education organization, and we are, throughout our 35-year history, have been devoted to the promotion of sound science in public health policy. For this reason, we would urge the Rhode Island House Finance Committee to vote against taxing e-cigarettes and promote them as a method of tobacco harm reduction. Taxes on nicotine-containing products should be commensurate with health risk, and because e-cigarettes are far less risky than real cigarettes, they should be taxed accordingly. Our own research on the subject, as well as multiple other studies, have shown significant potential benefits in terms of reducing the tragic toll of cigarette smoking by supplying addicted smokers with the nicotine they need, but without the other health risks that accompany cigarette smoking. The facts are as follows. E-cigarettes are 99% less hazardous than real cigarettes, so any additional tax, let alone an 80% additional tax, is unjustified. Almost all e-cigarette users are or were at one time addicted smokers. They have helped millions of smokers quit smoking, and we've seen this through our own research on our Facebook page, which currently has 33,000 likes, and we have hundreds of personal testimonies which show success stories of addicted smokers who have used e-cigarettes to quit smoking. And as was mentioned before, e-cigarettes have contributed to the historic declines in the sales of cigarettes over the past 2 years. The bottom line is smokers smoke for the nicotine, but they die from the smoke. Furthermore, there have been numerous studies done by toxicologists from respected institutions who have no affiliation with the e-cigarette industry, and they have found that the levels of contaminants that e-cigarette users are exposed to are far below any levels that would pose health risks. And the vapor poses no risk to bystanders. By taxing e-cigarettes at the levels suggested, it would make e-cigarettes cost more than cigarettes and deter smokers from using them, effectively telling them that they should keep on smoking. Furthermore, this would support big tobacco because it would take the attention away from e-cigarettes, direct it back to cigarettes, and even smokers who have stopped smoking through e-cigarettes might go back to smoking. The World Health Organization predicts 1 billion smokers prematurely dead this century if the trend continues. While some agenda-driven opponents of e-cigarettes may say we don't know what will happen with e-cigarettes, we at the American Council surely do know what will happen if people continue smoking cigarettes. Almost 500,000 people dead each year from smoking. And I also have some of our recent publications, which I'll leave for you guys to look at.
Thank you very much, Ariel. Appreciate your testimony. You may proceed.
Hello, my name is Dino Bukhari, and I am the proud proprietor of Rhode Island Vapor Company. We call it RIVCO in short. I am 36 years old. I reside locally here in Providence. I have 2 wonderful children. I was a cigarette smoker since the age of 14. 2 years ago, I fell in love with e-cigs when they completely got me off by pack and a half a day, Marlboro addiction, when no other smokeless alternative could. RIVCO manufactures White Horse electronic cigarettes, almost in their entirety, right here in Providence. RIVCO has a strong staff of 9 that all share the same common goal, to convert cigarette users off one of the worst addictions on earth. The RIVCO future looks bright, and we wish to build a small factory here in Rhode Island and grow our team over the next 2 years. This is not a tobacco product, so regulating it or taxing it like one is an enormous mistake, a public health endangerment, along with a poor business decision by the state. There is no burn, there is no tar. This is a vapor product, so there is no secondhand smoke. To place an excise tax on these ingredients would be extremely prejudicial. An e-cig is a nicotine replacement for smokers that works. There is a good reason why 2013 was labeled the year of the e-cig, because e-cigs work. Nicorette and the patch contain nicotine and more ingredients as a whole than e-cigs. I must add, those products carry a 90% failure rate. And Chantix, with its extreme life-threatening side effects, isn't much better. Please be aware those products carry no complex regulation or excise tax. The business side for the state. The competitive edge that e-cigs have over tobacco is that the end user gets a price break, which makes the conversion from traditional cigarettes a little more inviting. At the end of the day, a tax on e-cigs would be catastrophic to the local industry and force my company to move 10 minutes down the road to Seekonk. Please understand, one other thing, hold on. An excise tax would not make up the state losses in tobacco tax. Please understand that making a pack of cigarettes is far more costly than making an e-cig and its components. I don't know how the state can make up a tax for components in an e-cig. There are too many loopholes. Please inquire after my testimony. The state lottery is the most regulated business that the state is in, and there's still fraud and deception. 15 stores rated just in February. I have to be honest, this is not a hard product to make. There are hundreds of examples online. If the state would suppress this product in the responsible private sector, you would give the black market a financial interest to step in, while us legitimate companies that really know what we are doing dwindle away. The state does its best now to police cigarettes, and the black market figures out a way to sneak them in through New Hampshire tax-free. The state tried, the same with e-cigs, it's an even better opportunity because the black market does not have to leave the state, let alone their home or their storage bin. The moral value should lie here with the people that elected you. This product saves, and Rhode Island shouldn't limit its potential just to squeeze an extra $700,000 out of a fiscal budget. I'm going to ask the state, please do not deter this product, embrace it. Rhode Island Vapor Company, my company, wants to stay here and keep working to help people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, you may
I've
proceed.
also, one last thing, I've brought some disposable electronic cigarettes that we make, and I've given to you, share one with you, want to take them back to your offices and just see what's in them. I'm not sure if you've ever picked one up. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't, you guys go through so much stuff, so I'm going to leave them here, and
Thank you very
take
much.
a drag, don't want to see anything, I promise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So you may,
Mr. Chairman, members of the House Finance Committee, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Robert Dunning. I'm a Rhode Island resident. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Allow me to qualify my statement by saying I've been a cigarette smoker for 42 years and have tried every way to quit over the years. Gum, Nicorette, lozenges, and also Chantrex. None of it worked. Then a year ago, I bought my first e-cigarette online, and I never smoked another cigarette. My health has vastly improved over the past years. I no longer cough. I can taste food and smell food again. And by using the next generation of e-cigarettes, which is similar to this, I've been able to reduce my nicotine intake by 70% over this past year. First, let me say I support a law that bans sales to minors, but that's not what these bills are about. As we were informed at the last committee meeting by a member of the governor's staff, the budget is short by $150 million, so they're getting creative. The problem is a punitive tax is not going to raise revenue. Many smokers who switch to less hazardous e-cigarettes instead of continuing to smoke do so because e-cigarettes are less expensive than cigarettes. Increasing the cost of e-cigarettes with punitive taxes would discourage many smokers from switching to e-cigarettes, and it will encourage current e-cigarette consumers to buy their products in our neighboring states and online. Much like what happened with the excise tax on rolling papers. Nobody buys rolling papers in Rhode Island anymore. This legislation that I also read would not only require e-cigarette sellers to obtain a license to sell tobacco, but would also mandate that they buy their products from a Rhode Island-based distributor or wholesaler. This provision would impact the ability of us to receive and buy products that no Rhode Island wholesalers are selling right now. This is something you get online or from the new brick and mortar stores that are coming up. This is very much like what's happened with the liquor distribution in this state. If the distributors don't carry it, you can't buy it. And finally, many organizations are using the health concerns as a way to stop e-cigs in Rhode Island, but the truth is the low risk of e-cigs is supported by research done by a myriad of universities. Dr. Siegel in Boston University, Eisenberg at Virginia Commonwealth, Dr. Gonowitz of the Roswell Park Cancer Institute, Dr. Lagerson of the Health Institute in New Zealand, and Dr. Burston of Drexel University. And by the fact that the 2009 FDA testing, in spite of its press statement, failed to find harmful levels of carcinogens or toxic levels of any chemicals in the vapor. A comprehensive review by a Drexel University professor based on over 9,000 observations of e-cigarette liquid and vapor found no apparent concern for bystanders exposed to e-cigarette vapor, even under the worst case assumptions about exposure. We are spending a lot of money and time trying to legislate to death something that actually saves lives. If we are truly concerned about the health and safety of our citizens, let's try to forget the $50 million a year the state collects in cigarette taxes and create meaningful legislation that addresses the fact that in Rhode Island, every day, 1 in 5 deaths are caused by the effects of combustible cigarettes. E-cigarettes save lives. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
thank you very much, sir. Anyone have any questions for Representative Ferry?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just quickly, I mean, besides the tax that this is about, do you have any problem treating cigarettes the same way? I mean, e-cigarettes the way you treat cigarettes is not allowed in workplaces and that type of thing?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think, I've seen it so many times, people outside in the bushes 50 feet from, because state law requires it 50 feet. This has no effect on anybody.
No, but would you support that we treat it that way? Because I know it's still a vapor and it's,
Are you asking if we would support a similar ban that they're on cigarettes indoors on electronic cigarettes? Absolutely not.
No.
That's the beauty of this product. And I also want to add something too, and I hope you don't mind. We are the only electronic cigarette that is sold at Twin River Casino. It's the only. Oh, okay. And that is the only destination in Rhode Island that they allow smoking indoors. And we're they're doing their best to improve their air quality, and sales are improving, and it's starting to get a little viral in there, and we're not trying to clear the air up in there. It's doing well. So,
all right, thank you.
I don't
Thank you,
support it.
Jim.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, Dino, wish you the best of luck on your success in your business.
Thank you so much. I want to stay here.
And
so
we
does
want
my
you
strong
here.
staff and I don't like Massachusetts, to be honest with you.
And
I
we
like
want you
Rhode
here.
Island.
And we want you here, so thank you.
Go Friars.
Thank you for coming in.
Providence Friars.
Evan Duart, Chris Dunley, and Mohammed, I can't, thank you, because I could not read your last name. And then there's someone after you that signed up that just kind of signed his name or her name. So if you know who that is, maybe you could help me out. Whoever'd like to start, go right ahead.
Hi, folks. My name is Chris Doney. I'm a Pennsylvania resident. I drove up here 5.5 hours to ask you guys to decline in this taxation. I spend my money, some of my money, on Rhode Island vendors for e-cigarettes. And to be honest with you, with the cost, obviously would have to, be brought down upon customers. With that cost, I would probably be forced to look elsewhere. You know what I mean? There are thousands of vendors online that I may be able to deal with at a cheaper cost for that reason. So blatantly, I would look elsewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Sir, you may proceed. If you could push your button one more time so it's up. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'm a small business. I just give you a little heads up. I have a small convenience store in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And before I just bought it like a month ago for the 7-Eleven in Cranston Street. And I live in Rhode Island. I love to do business in Rhode Island. And I have a store in Massachusetts. And a lot of my friends and everybody pushing me, don't buy in Rhode Island because it's 80% taxes and it's tobacco and cigarette, and now it's electronic. And I have a very successful business there, but I love Rhode Island because the last 6 years I moved over here from Tennessee, and I love over here the community and the people around here. And Chairman, these taxes is already, you see that the people going, we have like small state left and right. If you see Seacon, Attleboro, and I live in Lincoln, you got 2 minutes in over there, people buy cigarette from there, people buy tobacco from there. And if we put the taxes on this one, it's definitely going to be a black market. Everybody talk about all the medicine and everything, but it's taking away business from us, from who people doing business in Rhode Island. And convenience store is not making very successful money. Everybody can make a good money and pay extra taxes. We're making like 20% gross profit. And after 20% gross profit, because of 6% margin on cigarette, we sell most of them cigarette. And then we sell bread, butter, and gas. And this is all average out, we calculate is at 20%. Then we take salary. Then we take electricity bill, which is getting higher and higher. And then we pay all other expenses and taxes. And it's end up like a 1.5% total sale of the revenue is going to be a net profit. And we have almost like 20 people over here for the small convenience store. And our parents started very earlier. They opened the store before and they close end of the day. We get a little bit here, school, education, and we're trying to do the business differently to make sure we all can make money and pay all the taxes. And I oppose this bill because we are so small state, and we want to be successful business owner to succeed in Rhode Island especially, and they can make money and pay all taxes and everything, and we prospect state. And right now is unemployment is like almost, we are the second in the state. And other people say like $24,000 minimum income right now for the average person income over here. We definitely do something to be competitor over neighbors. And I heard that earlier is a corporate, we're trying to reduce the taxes, $20 million we're giving to them, $20 million this is only $680,000. This is just governor trying to do that. It's just taking the bread and butter from away from us. And then we don't have other option to just move out from the state, but we don't want to. It's a good community, it's a good neighbors, and you feel security over here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, you may proceed.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman and House of the Committee. I'm not going to waste your time because everybody said what was important, but the regular cigarettes has known 200 toxin in one cigarette that goes into your body. So between 680 tax collected a year over here and saving on the medical bill that the state has to dish out, you guys do the math.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you. We appreciate your testimony. Thank you very much. Brian Foytik, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the last name. Darren Tripoli. How about Tara Machado? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to House Finance. Whoever'd like to start.
I'll start. Just a little
Tara. No, take your time, Tara. If you could just push your button to make sure it's up. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Tara Machado. I just opened up a store in Rhode Island. If this increase on the electronic cigarettes is allowed, I'll have to move my business to Massachusetts. I'm a mother of 3. This is how I support my children, and it's just going to destroy my business.
Thank you, Tara. Appreciate your testimony. Sir, you may proceed.
Thank you. My name is Brian Foytik, and I work with Enjoy Electronic Cigarette Company. Here from Chicago, was here last week. I did submit electronically some testimony from our CEO, Craig Weiss, and an article from the Journal of the American Medical Association that hopefully you have. If not, I can certainly resend that. One of the reasons I wanted to be here, and just to make clear, there's a lot of news reports about electronic cigarettes and different interests in the industry, and I just wanted to say that we are not a tobacco company. We are not owned by a tobacco company. We don't make any tobacco products. We do sell all across the country, and our goal, which our CEO has stated often, is to obsolete the tobacco cigarette and all that comes along with it. I've also worked in tobacco harm reduction and taxation issues related to the other tobacco products tax. I'm very familiar with what's going on in Minnesota, very familiar with how the other tobacco products tax works, and I would suggest that this proposal in the governor's budget is very problematic from a tax perspective in trying to apply it. There's a lot of unintended consequences that would occur. It's drafted differently than Minnesota's is drafted. We've heard earlier about a lot of the problems in Minnesota, and there's a lot of behavior that's being encouraged by tax law that certainly I wouldn't guess would be desired by the legislature there, and I think you find the same thing here. There's so many different products that are in the marketplace. We make a product that looks like a cigarette. It's a single contained unit that is our primary product. There are others that you've seen folks have here that are different pieces, components with a battery and like a cartridge that's like a filter. They sell liquid separately. It's really tedious and difficult to try to get your brain around how to properly apply a tax, and that would be if a tax were even appropriate. The excise tax, however, I would suggest, or the sin tax, is generally applied for two reasons. It's to discourage harmful behavior, and it's to compensate the state or society for the harm caused by those products. And I would suggest that the electronic cigarettes don't meet either of those, so they're inappropriate. And I would also criticize the proposal on the grounds that it's a horrible public health policy, and perhaps a little perspective is helpful in that regard. We just recognized the 50-year anniversary of the 1964 Surgeon General's report on smoking and health. It's a landmark report, and really helped underscore the connection between smoking and all the diseases and health conditions that we're familiar with now are related to smoking. Since that time, and even predating that report, we have had a concerted effort from all levels of government to discourage people from smoking. We've had taxes at the local, state, federal level, regulatory things affecting advertising, affecting marketing, education programs, whether they're school programs for kids or billboards when you drive down the road, radio ads, TV ads. End of the day, it's worked to help a lot of people understand that tobacco is not good for them. But in the United States of America, there's still 45 million people who smoke cigarettes. 69% of those 45 million people want to quit and have tried to quit unsuccessfully. I've heard nicotine replacement therapy mentioned, wonderful products that provide nicotine without the dangerous combustion. They work for some people, but as indicated, they fail 93% of the time when they're used as directed. You also will note that the FDA did recently expand the scope within which they recommend or allow you to use these products, because they have discovered that long-term use of nicotine doesn't come with significant health risks. There are also other studies where that's been demonstrated over a long period of time in large populations. So what we're dealing with and our customer base and the customer base of anybody here that has a business are people that are long-term smokers. They know it's bad for them. They're tired of paying taxes, but they're willing to pay the taxes because they want to smoke. And this is a product for a lot of different reasons that appeals to them and doesn't present the same health risks. And taxing them, our products would be taxed higher than a pack of cigarettes under this proposal. So we have concerns. I know you have a lot of people, but I do appreciate the opportunity, and thank you very much.
Thank you. So you may proceed.
Hi, my name is Darren Tripoli. Currently, I'm living in Rhode Island. I moved here about 3.5 years ago due to the fact that I saw so much opportunity in the state. From New York City, Long Island, and I got to tell you, everybody who knew I was moving asked me why. And what I told them was that there was a lot of opportunity up here. Since coming up here, we opened up an electronic cigarette website. We started e-commerce, and we progressed into various flea markets in the state. In the past 2 months, we were able to open up a brick and mortar store right in Warwick, and it's doing phenomenal. And just to give you a little bit of math on we've been open about 4 weeks now. The first 3 weeks at the end of February, we did make about $36,000 in gross, and we're on pace to make $50,000 to $60,000 in the month of March. That is tax revenue for you guys. We are one store. I am the epitome of small business, and if you allow this industry to flourish and you do nurture it like earlier suggested, it's going to bring you guys enough tax revenue where you don't even have to think about an 80% sin tax. I do realize that this is a very small state, and after moving my entire family up here, it is very easy to leave. I do plan on putting down roots. I do plan on hiring, helping out the other Rhode Islanders. What we do makes us feel good. We make people happy when they realize they're no longer a slave to a traditional cigarette. And I got to tell you, I sleep like a baby at night knowing that what we do is, it's good for the people of the state. And I don't want to leave, but, I will. And that's all I have to say to you guys.
Thank you very much. appreciate it. Any questions for our testimony? Thank you very much, everyone, for your testimony. How about Jamie Sifdard? Louis Del Sesto? Jennifer Lasonring, sorry. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to House Finance. Whoever'd like to start, please go right ahead.
Go ahead. Hi, my name's Lou Del Sesto. I'm the owner of E-Cig Shed in Barrington, Rhode Island. We're one of the first stores in Rhode Island. We've been open about a year, actually a little over a year, about a year and a month. I can tell you right now, the 80% tax would shut us down. First of all, people that are in this picture, this is a tobacco-free wall. These are people that are a month and over without tobacco. A lot of them come from Mass, a lot of them from Rhode Island. I'll tell you right now, they're all going to go to Mass. You're not going to get the 80% tax because I'm going to be out of business. Right now I collect, what, 7% from you for the state. I can tell you right now, I've collected $12,474 in my first year. The first 6-7 months were really, really slow, so most of that revenue was for the last half of that year. We expect to do double. I'm hoping double. That'd be great, wouldn't it? But if you do this 80% tax, we're done. We're done. Just want to point to this nice old lady right here. This is my grandmother. She had lung cancer, and she just had it burned out last year. Now she's suffering with scar tissue. Now, if she had this product 30, 40 years ago, she might not be suffering right now. So think of all these people right here when you push that 80% tax, and how many of them are going to suffer because they're not going to have access to this product. They're either going to go to Mass, they're going to go back to tobacco, they're going to go online. Those are the consequences. I just can't believe the governor would even consider this. I'm sorry, I'm just really starting to get mad. You know, when I know it's helped me. 4 years ago, almost died from pneumonia. Doctor said, you need to quit smoking. I feel so much better. Just to even take the risk of hurting people because of a ridiculous tax, it breaks my heart. It does. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Jennifer?
Hi, my name's Jennifer Leisenring. I am currently an employee of White Horse Electronic Cigarettes. I'm just here today to ask you to please not pass this tax on e-cigarettes. The company has done very well. I've been with it since day one. Personally, I am a success story with electronic cigarettes, converting from traditional tobacco cigarettes to electronic. Many friends and family, close family of mine, have done the same, and it's just been a very good implement that we've done, you know, but we've transitioned people, and I hope that you understand why we've all come here today to you know, fight that fight. So
We understand.
thank you.
Thank you. Sir, you may proceed. Sir, if you could just push your button once.
Yeah.
Thank
Hi.
you.
How are you today? Thank you for giving me opportunity to talk to you. My name is Jamil. I have a store in Woonsocket. Also, one of the example, a smoker for almost 30 years. And what I see, I don't know FDA, all that studies gonna do, but what I have experience myself, ever since I'm on the electronic cigarette, I don't cough anymore. Actually, my wife doesn't let me smoke. Used to at home, I used to sneak in the bathroom in the cold weather or here and there, and she smells. And you know, now even I'm smoking right in the house next to her. She doesn't even smell it. I don't smell it. My lungs are clean. I feel good. Not just that, I recommend it to my, customers. So I turn to this, and a lot of people are switching and they are so happy they don't smoke anymore. And studies gonna yet to, we're gonna find out how dangerous that is, but it's gonna be less. The way we are looking at it right now, comparing, this is not gonna be harmful like cigarette, and this is not a tobacco product. What is happening? People take 40 out of store, 24 ml nicotine to go to 18 to 10 to 6 to 0, and then they quit. And this does work. So please, I oppose this. Don't tax electronic cigarette. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you very much for your testimony. How about Yasin? Is Yasin here? Come up. How about Spike Barbanian? I hope I pronounced it correctly. Close enough, okay. You may, whoever would like to start, go right ahead.
How are you? My name is Spike Babayan. I am from New York, and I just drove a really long time to get here after a really long day yesterday. I own 3 e-cigarette stores in New York. I also founded a group called National Vapors Club. I founded that group for consumers of e-cigarettes because in 2008, everybody said e-cigarettes are toxic, they're killing people, they're going to die, they're worse than cigarettes, they have antifreeze in them, claims that we now laugh at because we think that's ridiculous. You know, how could they be worse than cigarettes? Cigarettes are horrible. So before I opened my store, I said I don't want to sell e-cigarettes until I know that I'm not killing the people that I'm trying to help. I wouldn't want to live with myself knowing that I just sold all these things to these people and then they died. I can't live with that. So I went to a lot of e-cigarette companies all over the country, companies who did not have a store because in 2009 there were no e-cigarette stores. There were none in the entire country in 2009, January of 2009 when I started using this product. Not one e-cigarette store in the whole country. Now, and 2 years ago there was not one in Rhode Island. And now you got a whole bunch. You heard from half a dozen of them today. So we raised money from a bunch of e-cigarette companies, and I physically went to the lab at Clarkson University and taught the researchers how to use e-cigarettes. I said, this is how they work. You have to suck them this way, and this is how long, and this is how much liquid goes in them, and this is how they work. And I taught them, and I helped them do a research study on e-cigarettes. I have a number of degrees. So I then co-authored the study and helped them write the study. Since that time, we did one of the first e-cigarette studies in the country. The study was called Comparison of E-Cigarette Vapor versus Cigarette Smoke and the Effect on Indoor Air Quality. It's not necessarily relevant to an 80% tax, but it is relevant to what the representative asked before about would we oppose using these, would we support a bill that banned indoor use? We would not support a bill that banned indoor use because e-cigarettes can be used freely. They're not proven to be toxic. There's no evidence of them being toxic to bystanders. If there were evidence of them being toxic to bystanders, we'd support that. But to this point, there have been about 3 dozen studies, and none of them showed that. In reference to the 80% tax, you have about half a dozen companies here right now represented that have e-cigarette stores in Rhode Island that were not here 2 years ago. If each of those e-cigarette stores does $50,000 to $100,000 a month in sales in 2015, which I guess is when this would end up taking effect if it happened, that's a lot of tax at 7% times $100,000 a month times 6 companies, which of course will not stay at 6 companies if this bill doesn't pass. You'll have 12 companies. If the 80% tax doesn't pass, you'll have 12 companies by next year and probably 24 by the year after, which will then employ dozens of people who will also then pay withholding taxes and state taxes and, all sorts of stuff. So you have people employed, you have people making money, you have the government collecting sales tax on dozens of stores, on hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's not something that you want to throw away. And I think it's something that you should seriously consider before passing this tax.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Is Dean Bakari here? If Dean would like to come forward also. Dean, there's a seat right in the middle for you. Sir, you may proceed.
Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, members of the committee. My name is Jason McGonigal. Long-time Rhode Island resident. I was back and forth from Boston to Rhode Island my entire life. In the 90s, my father was one of the most influential producers in the music business, and throughout those years, I grew up in a studio filled with smoke, and I lost my mother to lung cancer, and I lost an uncle. And I had the opportunity to do many different forms of employment throughout my life, and I've been in the music business, and I was a contractor at one time. I tried it all. I had a clothing store in the Providence Place Mall at one point, and we were paying $10,000 for rent, and a partner of mine opened up an e-cigarette company. And so I watched with disbelief, believing it was a niche product and it wouldn't really necessarily last. And I would watch the transformation of people come over, and eventually I bought into it. And the opportunity came for us to open up a business in the Warwick Mall after the flood. And so I see the opportunity based on my experience of watching people transform. And throughout the years, this is a product I believe in because I am helping people. The bottom line, financially, we do great. We've done $350,000 in sales a year total, and consecutively. And to correct you, we've been in business since 2009. So we were actually first company in Rhode Island, Cigatine. And at the end of the day, I grew a close bond with a lot of the customers that come in, and I've seen it all. I've seen my generation, my grandfather, he smoked since he was 12, and that seems to be like the redundancy that goes on in life. And I've watched these people walk away from cigarettes after smoking 30 years. I've seen them do this in 2 weeks, leave cigarettes alone. You have 4,000 chemicals in cigarettes. You have 4 in the average electronic cigarette. It's a lot easier to walk away from 4 chemicals than it is 4,000. So it does work. I do see these people every day. I watch people quit. And that's the reason I actually came here. The money is it's great. Money's a wonderful thing. But when I see something actually help people, and I've lost people. Excuse me for getting emotional. I have lost people to this disease. And I, at one time, was an idiot smoker because I grew up in the studios and people would smoke and I'd steal people's cigarettes as a little kid. Did all that. And so I know both sides of the fence, what it's like to actually really withdraw from nicotine. And, I commend the people that actually quit. But more so, I commend the people that actually support this state and the health society, and I really am a major contributor to the state. I don't want to leave the state, like many people have said before, and I just hope you guys see the reality and the common sense in this bill, and you decline it.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you.
Dean, welcome.
Hi, my name is Dean Bakari.
Thank you.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Dean Bakari, son of Gino Bakari, founder of White Horses Electronic Cigarettes. To start off, I would like to say that my dad never asked me to come up here and talk. I actually begged him, despite my fear of public speaking, to come up here and talk about this law being passed. For my whole life, I've grown up with my mother, my aunt, my grandmother, even my dad, having a smoking addiction, and they've tried everything, Nicorette, the patch, everything. It just didn't work. And it wasn't just because of the nicotine level, it was also because of the social aspect that it brought along with it. And to see such a healthy substitute, such as electronic cigarettes, where you have the motion of going like this and having to go outside and take a drag, it's really, that's what brings the people who smoke regular cigarettes to electronic, and also the price range as well. And to add such a tax, it really deters people from going to make such a change. Because every time I've talked to anybody, not just my family, like people I've worked with, they've all said, "Oh, I love to quit, but I just can't." Well, why not? You have it right here. And to put this tax on, it discourages them even more. Because right when we give them a cigarette, any of our friends or anybody, it just stops them. Like, they love it. It's a great out for them. It's a great outlet for them to stop smoking. And it's just, I've never personally smoked a day in my life, electronic and regular cigarette alike, but just to see that, it puts a smile on my face, just to see my family and my friends that are older just stop smoking, and it's a great feeling. So thank you for listening, and thank you.
Thank you very much. And Dean, I know you might have a fear in public speaking, but you did a great job. Don't ever have that fear. Thank you. Thank you very much for your testimony. Gregory Conley, Lisa Cologne, and Minawar Mangar. Sorry if I messed that one up. Sorry. Whoever would like to start first, go right ahead.
Test, okay. Now, my name is Gregory Conley, and I am here as a volunteer representing the National Vapors Club, a nonprofit coalition of e-cigarette users, as you've learned, that was formed several years ago to defend the rights of people who have switched from inhaling burning smoke into their lungs to using smoke-free, tobacco-free, and often nicotine-free electronic cigarettes. Now, I had a speech that I gave to the Senate Finance Committee last week, but after Representative Valencia mentioned earlier, he asked the person, "Are you a physician?" And that gave me an idea that rather than read my own speech, I would read the speech of a man by the name of Dr. Michael Siegel. And he is a professor at the Boston University School of Public Health, and had he not had a class to teach tonight, he would be here. Dr. Michael Siegel is a longtime anti-tobacco researcher, an anti-smoking researcher, who, in the 1990s, testified against big tobacco companies in several lawsuits, including the Engel lawsuit, which, as I recall, ended up with a $40 billion verdict against the tobacco industry. So all the people in this room, no matter how many times you voted to raise cigarette taxes, Dr. Michael Siegel has helped cost the tobacco companies far more money than you can ever dream to, with all due respect. Now, his article is entitled, "Why is the Governor of Rhode Island Trying to Help Protect Big Tobacco?"
Gregory, just before you start, if you don't mind, if you can just kind of pick the highlights out of that article.
It's a fairly short article.
Thank you.
In a bizarre turn of events, the governor of Rhode Island, who paints himself as anti-tobacco, is asking you, the legislature, to help protect big tobacco from competitors. Governor Lincoln Chafee, in his budget bill, proposes a whopping 80% tax on electronic cigarettes. And the best paragraph from this is as so. There is strong evidence that electronic cigarettes are much safer than tobacco cigarettes. These products contain no tobacco and do not involve combustion. Multiple studies have confirmed that there are only a few chemicals present beyond the nicotine, and so far only trace or low levels of potentially concerning constituents have been detected, levels which are far lower than in real cigarettes. Users of these products generally report an immediate and dramatic reduction in respiratory symptoms. Moreover, there is strong evidence that electronic cigarettes can be effective in smoking cessation, and that they may actually be more effective than traditional products like the nicotine patch, gum, lozenge, which failed many people in this room and failed me before I managed to quit smoking with an electronic cigarette 3.5 years ago. Even when not effective in promoting complete cessation, these products generally help smokers cut down substantially on the amount they smoke, thus sharply curtailing cigarette sales. And he concludes, hoping that this committee decides to remove that part of the bill. And then before I close, I will just note a second well-respected public health physician, Dr. David Abrams of the Legacy Institute. Legacy Institute, it's not a name that's very familiar perhaps to you, but Legacy ran the Truth Campaign. If you remember back in the early 90s, late 2000s, they had the commercials where you had 1,000 teenagers go to New York City and lay down in body bags to show this is the number of people being killed by cigarettes on a daily basis and the number of teens being hooked on cigarettes on a daily basis. He has recently come out as a big supporter of electronic cigarettes, and at a conference in New York City just a couple months ago, he stated his belief that e-cigarettes are the key, could be the key, to making tobacco cigarettes obsolete. And he said his advice for state legislatures is that they should not ban indoor usage, and they should certainly not tax the product, because that is a free market way to nudge smokers towards making a far healthier choice. And Representative Valencia, unfortunately, I do not have enough copies for everyone on the staff, but I do have a copy of the Peering Through the Mist, a comprehensive review that was recently published in the well-respected BMC Public Health Journal that was conducted by Drexel University toxicologist Dr. Igor Burston. This is just one paper by a well-respected physician that supports electronic cigarettes for smoking cessation. So while I know I'm not a physician, I hope that you can have the opportunity to check out some of this literature, and I thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Sir, you may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman and members. My name is Manohar Guman, and I'm here to testify against the electronic cigarettes. It seems like our government and elected leadership in the Assembly has a mission to tax Rhode Islanders to death, always looking for new ways to tax. It's a proven fact that our economy is not going to grow with the high taxes. If this was the case, we would have been probably #1 state for a long time. CNBC did a study last year, America Top State for Business 2013, and we were number 49, unfortunately. And don't push us, beyond that, please. I'm a retailer and have been in business for nearly 20 years. Year after year, business is declining. When Rhode Island tax the cigars, chewing tobacco at 80%, we lose a lot of business to neighboring states. Rhode Island tax the rolling paper at about 200%. We hardly sell any. Sometimes if a mass customer comes in and asks for a rolling paper and you ring the price, believe me, he look at you like you are insane. What are you talking about? Yeah. And they leave everything else on the counter and they just leave the store. A couple of years ago, the state stamped the little cigars like Cheyenne. Believe me, we don't sell anymore in our stores. People go across the border to buy those. Raising tax on e-cigarette doesn't make sense. It put us on severe disadvantage with the neighboring states. It's not a good deal for the state, nor for the retailers. And therefore, I implore you to use your logic and not pass this tax, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lisa, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Chairman.
If you could push your button up.
Push a little.
I did.
Push it again.
Thank you. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Lisa Chaloni. I'm the owner of Vapor Ready LLC. We're an online e-cigarette retailer. I'm also a resident and an e-cig user. I was a smoker for 28 years, and I did everything to quit, and the only thing that worked for me was e-cigarettes. And because I liked them so much, I started a business because I wanted to help people, and I started that business here in Rhode Island. I'd like to make one point about this tax bill is Governor Deval Patrick dropped the e-cig tax bill from his budget this year, so people are just going to go over to Rhode Island, and it's going to put us all out of business. Also, since Rhode Island has the highest unemployment rate in the country, by passing this bill, it'll make e-cigs so expensive, not many people would be able to afford them, and they would have no choice but to go back to smoking. I brought something I wanted to share with you today. This is 1,800 signatures of residents, most of them. 95% of these signatures are from Rhode Island residents. 5% are from people that either do business in the state or work in the state. These are one-page signature, one page per person, a petition, and we have their name, address, phone number, email, and signature. We will gladly submit you a copy upon request. We will be sorting these out by district so that these people will know that their legislators voted, how their legislators voted regarding this bill. So I urge you to back off of the e-cig taxes. It's just going to be harmful to the state.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions? I did have one also. Representative Valencia?
Not so much a question, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to address Gregory because he was kind enough to present the committee with a medical study. I haven't had a chance to look at the paper from Dr. Michael Siegel, but I assure you that I will read it. You know, and I'm not credentialist myself. I have a master's degree in pharmaceutical science, so I really actually know how drugs work in the body. I can assure Dr. Siegel that Governor Chafee has no interest in enriching to the tobacco industry. So that kind of language is kind of over the top from my perspective. The governor is looking at this tax, and it may be a premature look. Okay, I'll grant you that. The situation is this, though. The Food and Drug Administration is looking to regulate these items. Chairman Mello has a bill in this year to regulate these items. Why do you think that is? That's a rhetorical question. I'm going to answer it for you, okay? The reason they want to regulate it is because nicotine is not without harm, okay? Nicotine is a drug like many drugs. And although every drug has, that's used medicinally, and nicotine is used medicinally, every drug has a good profile. Every drug has a bad profile as well, okay? Nicotine causes bronchospasm in the lungs. Nicotine can increase blood clotting. Nicotine can cause GI issues. Nicotine has central nervous effects, okay, including irritability, dizziness, headache, sleep disturbances. And it causes a lot of issues with the heart. So historically, it's not just the Cancer Society, it's been the American Lung Association has had issues with cigarette smoking. I will grant you that if I know a cigarette smoker, I would encourage them to try this product and to use this product, and it is much safer and probably much better for them than to smoke a tobacco cigarette. There's no argument there. I don't think anybody here is arguing that. But the question is this. It's still a somewhat dangerous situation. If you could provide me any doctor or pediatrician that is recommending the use of these things, okay, that's a different story. I mean, a physician who's saying, you know, I have someone, and they would be better off using this as opposed to abstinence. I think it's a good step. It helps people quit cigarettes. I still don't think it's better than abstinence. I think that's the motivation for Governor Chafee. If I had to guess, I haven't spoken to the governor about it, but I think he just wants to tax and regulate an item that needs to be regulated. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I respond?
Sure, hold on one second. Thank you very much, Larry. I appreciate that. Did you have a quick response to that?
Yes, I would say that electronic cigarettes for long-term inveterate smokers are better than abstinence, because those who try to quit cold turkey or try to quit with NRT, again, only approximately 3% of them managed to successfully stay smoke-free for over 1 year. And with regard to nicotine, so many of those side effects you listed are from studies with regard to cigarettes. When you look at nicotine disconnected from smoke, the studies continually back it up as 98 to 99% less hazardous than smoking. And in my mind, the best way to exemplify this is to say, look at President Barack Obama. It's been reported and everywhere, and they have photos of him being a nicotine gum fiend. And let me ask you this. President Obama quit smoking 4 or 5 years ago. How much has he reduced his health risks? Even if he chews a piece of nicotine gum, 2, 3, 4 pieces at the same time throughout his entire day, to the point where he's getting the same amount of nicotine in his system as he was when he was a smoker. He is a long-term nicotine gum user. How much has he reduced his health risks? Many in the public health field, Dr. Michael Siegel, Dr. Abrams, many others that I can point you to would say 98 to 99% he has reduced his risks.
Well, I'm not a doctor, nor am I a drug tech or whatever the case may be, but I can tell you this much. It's still, and I understand what Representative Valencia is saying, nicotine is still nicotine. Now, one of the things that I have a bill in which regulates e-cigarettes, and the only thing my bill does is says that you have to be 18 or older to purchase this particular product. Because as of right now, in Rhode Island law, there is nothing that prevents a 14-year-old to walk into a convenience store to buy an e-cigarette and go outside and has 21 milligrams of nicotine and puffing away like anything could be. So that's my bill that I have introduced.
Sir, with all due respect, you pulled, let me please. Sir, with all due respect, you pulled your own bill last year that would have banned e-cigarette sales to minors. And I know we're all kind of having a kumbaya moment because we all seem to agree that this tax is premature, but we have to note that for the past year, Minors have been able to purchase electronic cigarettes legally from retailers in Rhode Island because Governor Chafee vetoed a common sense bill to ban e-cigarette sales to minors. And
Well,
I
I
hope
don't think
this year we can
I don't think it
accomplish
was a common sense bill, because I think after we looked at the bill and I looked at it thoroughly, there was still a lot of questions on that bill that needed to be addressed. So yes, I did pull my bill, but there was a lot of questions that still needed to be addressed because I wanted to make sure that my bill did exactly what it was intended to do. And that intention is to prevent the youth of this state from picking up those cigarettes
But
or
for the
those
past year,
e-cigarettes.
they've been able to.
Yes, they have, and hopefully by the end of this legislative session, that will stop.
And I'd love to work with you on that we can actually get something that everyone can agree on, because we do not need to make electronic cigarettes, quote, tobacco products to make somebody have a license to sell them. We can make it be a tobacco and nicotine license. And we do not need to have online sales requirements that were written before we had third-party age verification software that's been enacted in states like Illinois, North Carolina, South Carolina. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up for that bill, so I just want to put that out there, that we are willing, very much, all these companies are willing to work with you to get a bill so we can actually have in 2014 that it be illegal to sell an e-cigarette to a minor. And I hope we can all come together on that and actually forge a compromise, because we don't want to be tobacco products, but there's not a great objection to a retail
And I guess what the sad part about it is, and I'm not saying you, Gregory, or anybody in this room, but I think the lady from Cumberland Farms said it best. She doesn't even allow it to happen now, and I hope everyone that's here follows that.
Yes.
And I'm glad that that happens. And I'm glad that that happens, that we don't even have to put a law in for something that's common sense.
We can all agree on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Larry.
Thank you very much,
Sorry,
Mr.
Rep.
Chairman.
Valencia, I apologize.
No, that's okay, Mr. Chairman. And really, the point that I was trying to make, Gregory, and I hope you understand what I'm saying here. I understand. These products help people. Okay? These products help people. I totally understand that. But even you are conceding. You're saying risk reduction, 80, 90, 98, 99%. I would have to look at those numbers to believe them, but even you can't tell me it goes to zero.
Of course not. Nothing is risk-free.
But abstention is risk-free. But that's a different argument for a different day. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions? Thank you very much for your testimony. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
If there is anyone here that I've missed that would like to testify, please come right on up, sir. I thought I'd gone through the whole list. I apologize. Sir, welcome to House Finance.
Hi, my name is Antoine Al-Hosri. I represent 113 stores in Rhode Island. We have Power Buying Group, and we're working with the state from 1989. I have in my own 3 stores. I'm not gonna come to think to can go back and tell what everybody talking about the e-cigarette. I'm gonna talk about only a couple things happen with the state. And same, Mr. Larry talked a couple of minutes ago, the premature decisions, and this is the very bad things the state does. I'm gonna give you 3 examples, makes the state going down, and we never corrected. And in the future, we're trying with the Chamber of Commerce, North Chamber of Commerce, to draw a law, and we need your help to can pass this law through the representative, and from there through the senator. By this way, we can make the state go better and don't do any discrimination against anybody working in the state of Rhode Island. The first law happened about 4 or 5 years ago. The state came and put 80% tax on tobacco. And when they put the 80% tax on tobacco, Massachusetts have 0% on tobacco. And the smart Massachusetts, after 2 years, they didn't go up to 80. They went up to 30. And last year they went up to 40. Yani means the state of Massachusetts trying to can check before they take decision. They don't take decision, and we said we are taking decision and we don't know if we did right or we did wrong. They take their decision based on what they see and what they expect. We lost money. Nobody in the state of Rhode Island can sell any tobacco. Nobody in the state of Rhode Island can do any business. This is one problem. The second problem happened, they take decision about 5-6 years ago about the Easy Wider. The Easy Wider is only the small piece of paper. You can roll, put some tobacco in it and smoke it. The state of Rhode Island say we cannot tax it as cigarette. And they put stamp in every paper inside the small one. Instead of have it for $1, you have it for $10. Maybe this is the only problem, we don't care. The problem inside of the tobacco, bag of tobacco, they have these Easy Wider. You can sell it in Rhode Island. Why? Because it have to be stamped. And you're discriminating anybody in the state of Rhode Island to buy tobacco product and put bag to sell it. When everybody in Massachusetts sell it. The third problem happened 2 years ago. The state, without any consideration, say we cannot tax the small little cigar. Without thinking and premature, what the company did, instead of having the weight, suppose 0.07, the company came and they said, no more 0.07. We're going to put 0.08. All your law get absolute. And what did you do? You make the state very bad. You make the state of Rhode Island as a prison. Everybody inside is a criminal, and everybody inside is no good. And you're sending people from the state to every store, going to his bathroom, and going to his room, and going to everywhere, to his refrigerator, checking for these stupid things. Who cares? We need to work with the state. We need to make the state big. We need to make the state working together from 1989. We're not coming here to tell you what to do. We tell you to can think and to act properly, not to take decision. After 2 years, you said, yeah, we take bad decision. No, you can't. We are a small state. We don't want to do any illegal things, because whenever you take decision, no good. Let's go back to the e-cigarette. We don't want to worry about if the e-cigarette is bad or good, if it has nicotine in it or doesn't have nicotine in it, if it is 1% or 2%. If it is, we don't need this cigarette to sell e-minor. I have a store, no any minor can go to my store and buy e-cigarette. I told him, give me your license. If it's less than 18, I tell him, leave. We don't wait for you to do it. We do it. We are not stupid to work on the state and give e-cigarette to minor, because we know it's not good for him to go in the street and have e-cigarette in his hand. We're working together. We are communicating. We are not a people we don't know. We're working from 1989 up to today. We are working with you. We work with the state. We work with the whole government. We work with all the representatives. More than 60 representatives, I know them in the state. More than 50 senators. We work with you. But you have to understand, you can't do law. And if the law is bad, you can keep it. But you can bring more people. You bring more money. You bring more stuff. You can make this state wonderful state. Make the small state of Rhode Island a state where everybody can come, where everybody can say, why I'm going to go to Massachusetts? Why I'm going to go to Connecticut? The state of Rhode Island, if Mass have 40%, the state of Rhode Island have 38%. I'm going to go work in Rhode Island. I'm going to put my life in Rhode Island. I'm going to give the state everything they need. Don't make, I'm telling you, the state as a prison. And this is not good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Whoever would like to start, go right ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Mohammed Siddiqui, and yeah, you hear me well? Yeah, well, I have a store in Middletown, Rhode Island, and I just want to say a few words about convenience store as an industry. We are a shrinking industry. We are facing the same recession time that everybody does. We didn't ask any bailout, any bankruptcy. We still is a cow who is giving you milk. We are at least, if we are selling $10,000 cigarette a week, we're still paying $200,000 on excise duty, sales tax, property tax, etc. But I want you to bring something to your attention. Please put more tax try to bring more business in. They give you more opportunities for our residents to get jobs, more wealthy Rhode Island. Like I just roll onion on tobacco is a big industry now, but you have a ban on tubes and rolling papers. Maybe like 100 years ago, you put a tax on rolling paper because they're using to marijuana, but now marijuana on the table to be legalized. So what makes sense to be taxed on the rolling paper? Because the tax on the rolling paper, we cannot sell tubes. We can sell the tobacco, but not tubes. Tubes illegal. We can sell the wine, but not the cups. We can sell the coffee, but not the straw. What makes sense? I mean, they're hurting our business a lot. Believe me, as compared to the Massachusetts, we are hurting our business a lot. I mean, in a convenience store, we are facing a lot of problems. 80% of convenience store depend on cigarette, 15% now on cigar. 80% give us 4 to 6% of all revenue. That's $600 a week. Does not make any sense to pay any kind of a bill. The rest 15% cigar, we have to compete with Massachusetts 80% duty as compared to 40%. So we are losing all business to compete those things. So we are getting for our kids? Nothing. Please think about it. Finally, I request you to do something to keep this business running, to keep our family running, to pick 1,000 employing jobs. Please, in Rhode Island, make 15% state minimum of cigarette. Massachusetts already 25%, and they are enforcing this thing, so they be a lot expensive. So Rhode Island already high paid taxes in cigarette, so please make at least 15% state minimum, so we can have something to pay our rent and everything. And to compete with the Massachusetts, please bring the Rhode Island cigar taxes down. You see, we get more business. More business give you more money, more taxes, but more taxes give your business away. People on a click now. If you want to out of state, just a click and everything on your door. So why we were taking all kind of a threat for our business and our families, for our state? If we work together and please bring taxes down, and like Cheyenne, you tax on Cheyenne. You are a finance committee. Can I ask how much money you're making on put the tax on Cheyenne? What your Rhode Island is smoking now? Heavyweight? What the heavyweight mean? Gold and silver in there? Dust and dirt. People who can afford to drive. If you live in East Providence, go to Seekonk. Live in Pawtucket, go to Attleboro. Live in Warren, go to Swansea. They're buying a Cheyenne second-hand tobacco in $2.50, but who cannot drive, they carry smoking heavyweight dirt and dust in the same price. What's the thing is? We are losing our business. Nobody buying Cheyenne. Nobody buying Rhode Island tobacco. We are cigar business hurting. Cigarette business giving you no money. So we are just working for the state of Rhode Island, and plus we are taking all kind of penalties. So please help us out and try to bring the taxes down. Try to make 15% on cigarettes so we make some money. If we work together, we make this state of Rhode Island very prosper, very wealthy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you may proceed.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Irfan Hassan. I have a business in Rhode Island, Warren, Rhode Island. I started my business about 2004, like 10 years ago. Every year this business is it's getting tougher and tougher for us. I started recently, like a few years ago, bought a business in Massachusetts. I can just give you a couple of comparison, like electronic cigarettes, there's no tax in Massachusetts. So if you add the tax in Rhode Island, I have store in Warren, not half mile away, it's Swansea. People can go and buy from Swansea. Same thing in the tobacco tax. In Massachusetts, it's 40%. In Rhode Island, it's 80%. There's no comparison. From all of my customers, they were coming to my store. Now they go to, suppose they want to buy the tobacco. So even they come to buy the tobacco in Rhode Island store before, we cannot sell them the tubes because tubes are illegal in Rhode Island. It doesn't make sense. We can sell the tobacco, but we cannot sell the tubes. So they're not going to buy just tobacco. So when they go to Massachusetts to buy even just for tubes, next time they know the tobacco is even cheaper in Massachusetts, and they buy the tobacco from them and tubes because their tax is only 40%. So we're losing the business, and we are losing the sales tax for Rhode Island. So it's hurting us. So I would request you to not vote for this bill, oppose this bill, the electronic cigarette, and also please look into the tax rate, comparative state in Connecticut and Massachusetts that we are suffering already. So I hope you understand.
Thank you very much, sir. I did have one question maybe you could answer for me, and excuse my ignorance on this, but I understand the whole Easy Wider paper, and you were referring to tubes, but is that the same thing as like a wrap?
No, no.
Wraps are different, correct?
Wraps are different.
Yeah, because they're flying out of the convenience store near my house. They just like...
No, wraps are totally different thing.
That's different.
This
Okay,
is the
that's
people use
different.
to do the tobacco.
No, the Easy Wider is a small paper.
I know what Easy Widers are, and I know what, but I didn't know the terminology of tube.
Just, I can tell you that in Rhode Island store, the same Easy Roll paper, I sell it for $10 to $11. And in Massachusetts, it's $1.99 if it's like Easy Wider or something, and there are paper like 99 cents. So people, all the customers I have, they go to Massachusetts. You know what I mean? We lose the business, and then next time they don't come to buy milk and bread. They can go one place to buy everything. Why would they stop in my store and get the milk and then go to the Massachusetts store?
You can ask the people from the state, from the Division of Taxation, is no any sale. You take decision, you take a law. You said you cannot generate money. If this law doesn't generate for you anything, let you lose business and close it. Why you keep it? The only thing we're asking, if we prepare any new law, we can come directly to you, because we need you to help us to put this law through. We're not going to accept anymore to put stuff in Rhode Island where it's not function, where it's not going through, where it's not generating for you 1 penny. You go to any distributor, you tell them, give me how many Easy Wider we sold over Rhode Island in past 5 years. If we told you sell 10, I'm going to give you whatever you want. Nobody buying it. Why are you putting law and you screaming everything and you closing the state and you making very important problem? And the illegal activity, nobody do it. If you do bad law, you are generating it. You are generating the illegal activity, because it is too many problems in the state. You can't keep this problem rolling. You have to stop it. You have to take decision, and very strong decision. When we put this law, we're going to come to every one of you and tell you, you already promised us when we go to the hearing, you're going to help us to fix this problem. And we're going to come to you to help us fix it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
I just want to make
Appreciate that.
one point.
Sure.
I am in the business for last 10 years, but first violation I had for Little Cigar, that was a couple of weeks ago. My employee called me and told me there are people from the tax division and they're checking everything. So they found Cheyenne, that Little Cigar, and I told him I buy from J. Pollock, so they don't sell those kind of Little Cigar without heavy weight. But unfortunately, they sent by accident the delivery. And I took the picture because every invoice has a number on it, so I told him take the picture. So I went in front of the Division of Taxation, and I took the J. Pollock representative with me, because to make sure that I didn't buy illegal stuff. It was legally coming from J. Pollock. So he showed them the invoice, it showed the number on the invoice, but somebody who, when they deliver it, they mispicked the carton. So I received it, and they told me it's $1,200 and some change was my fine for 1 carton of Cheyenne. And I told her, that's not a mistake I did. I am giving you the proof. This is the invoice. This is they're coming from. That's their representative. He was with me, and he's saying that's came from, because it says the number on the invoice. And she looked at everything, and she looked at the book, and she said, I understand, but I'm sorry, in law it doesn't say if you make a mistake, or unfortunately I don't make the laws. The lawmaker make the law, and they have no, there's nothing it says. Unfortunately, you have to pay the fine. But she was kind enough, she did $1,200 to $600, but I paid that $600 for no reason. And but that's what she said. She said, I'm sorry, I don't make the laws, that's lawmakers, and they didn't think of, I guess, somebody can have a mistake. Or even J. Pollock guy was saying, I would pay this fine, and after he showed everything. She says, no, in law it doesn't say to the distributor, it's dealer who's responsible for it. So I end up paying $612 for no reason. And now I have one violation for no reason.
Thank you very much for your testimony, sir. Thank you, sir, for
Thank
your
you very
testimony. Is there anyone else here that would like to testify on Article 12? Okay, seeing none, that concludes the hearing for Article 12. And at this time, that concludes our hearing today in House Finance. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. Thank you and have a good night. If I could see Rosemary and